बाहैसियत नबीलीन
रोज़े क़यामत
रोज़े क़यामत और ये कि मैं हर हालत में बिला रग़बत व इनायत
कानून के मुताबिक इंसाफ करूँगा।
This is how he began his tenure as the Prime Minister of Pakistan. He fumbled and swapped the day of judgment with the day of leadership. Today, on the 18th of August, he completes 2 years in office. 2 years, and we are yet to see the day of leadership. We are still waiting for Imran Khan to be accurate because he still keeps fumbling, not just in speech, but also in governance. Nonetheless, it's a big day for him, so let's be nice and get you a report card of how the Prime Minister of Pakistan has fared in these last 2 years. I'll start with a subject that Imran Khan perhaps hates the most: economy. Pakistan's is in the doldrums, plunging to new lows every day. The GDP growth has fallen from 5% in 2018 to just 0.5% this year. That's quite a fall. Inflation has jumped. It was at its highest in January this year. Pakistan witnessed a 12-year high inflation at 14.6%. Last month, that figure slipped to 10.49%, but it remains in double digits, and it's worrying. The currency has weakened at 168 Pakistani rupees to a dollar. It has depreciated by almost 35%. The total public debt has ballooned. It has increased by 10 trillion rupees, reaching 35.2 trillion in these 2 years. International loans are piling up. Islamabad is still turning to the IMF to meet the balance of payments. In April 2020, it borrowed $1.3 billion from the IMF. This was in addition to the $6 billion loan it secured in July last year and the many, many loans that Imran Khan's predecessors have borrowed over the years. Pakistan is scraping the bottom of the barrel. Imran Khan is paying his own bills, he says.
अपने घर में रहता हूं, अपना खर्चा देता हूं। जो तनख्वाह मिलती है उससे मेरे घर के खर्चे पूरे नहीं होते। लेकिन क्योंकि हमारे मुल्क का मुश्किल वक्त है, सारे खर्चे अपने घर के खुद, कोई कैंप ऑफिस नहीं।
What about Pakistan society? Well, it's still shackled by hate and bigotry. The minorities still have no place in Pakistan. There are no exceptions. Be it the Shia Muslims, the Christians, the Ahmadis, the Hindus, the Sikhs, all of them remain perpetual sufferers of violence and discrimination. I have some figures for you. Since August 2018, at least 31 members of the minority community have been killed in Pakistan. Just last month, we got the most telling example of how radicalized the society has become under Imran Khan. On the 31st of July, an American citizen, a former Ahmadi Muslim, was killed inside a courtroom. He was shot 6 times in front of a judge before he could be placed on trial for blasphemy. And I've not even mentioned the plight of minority girls yet. They're still kidnapped at gunpoint, forcibly married to their abductor, and then ordered to stay with their captors by the judiciary. This is what happened to Maria Shehbaz this month. A 14-year-old Christian girl failed by the judicial system of Pakistan. And speaking of failed systems, the Pakistan Foreign Ministry is headed towards collapse. Shah Mahmood Qureshi, the foreign minister, and an acute case of foot and mouth. He's now on the verge of being sacked. We've told you why on this show. Mr. Qureshi seems to be crossing all limits of late. Last week, he reprimanded, rather threatened Saudi Arabia over its silence on Kashmir. And today, Mr. Foreign Minister slapped the principal secretary to Imran Khan. He literally slapped him. The Pakistani media cannot seem to get enough of this story. Given such developments, one can only imagine how good Pakistan's foreign relations may be right now. Imran Khan has failed to win the support of the Islamic world on Kashmir. If anything, leading Islamic countries are social distancing from Pakistan. Take the example of Saudi Arabia. It has shut the oil tap to Pakistan. It is seeking one loan payback after another. The OIC has refused to back Imran Khan's claims on Kashmir. So have other global platforms. Remember, Imran Khan gave an hour-long monologue on Kashmir at the United Nations General Assembly in 2019. It's been almost a year, and he still has not garnered enough support to get a resolution passed against India. With the exception of China, perhaps, Pakistan stands isolated when it comes to international relations.
But we have no voice because there's total division. We can't even come together on a simple thing like the whole OIC summit meeting on Kashmir.
They surely have no voice. So Imran Khan is resorting to juvenile acts to get attention. Pakistan released a new fantasy map this month. From Kashmir to parts of Gujarat, it has claimed everything as its own. How about claiming responsibility for situations like these? Karachi is crippled by floods. Civic amenities and governance systems under Imran Khan have failed. Here are some quick and very short examples. Karachi, the economic hub of Pakistan, remains flooded. The Chinese-made Islamabad International Airport is chipping and leaking. Rainwater is seeping through it. There's corruption in the China-Pakistan economic corridor. Chinese laborers are thrashing Pakistani soldiers over small disagreements. The Pakistani army has unofficially taken control of the government. Islamabad is ceding whatever little political space its civilians had to military generals. Pakistani diplomats have become a national embarrassment. In the month of May, one of them got arrested in Ukraine. What for? On charges of sexual harassment. Places of worship in Pakistan are under attack. In July, radical Islamists issued a fatwa against the construction of a temple in Islamabad. And the cherry on the cake. Listen to this from the horse's mouth.
उसामा बिन लादेन को इन्होंने अमेरिकन ने आके एबटाबाद में मार दिया, शहीद कर दिया। उसके बाद क्या हुआ? उसामा बिन लादेन को इन्होंने अमेरिकन ने आके एबटाबाद में मार दिया, शहीद कर दिया। उसके बाद क्या हुआ?
He didn't fumble there. This truly shows where Imran Khan's inclinations are. 2 years on, and Naya Pakistan is still singing the old tunes of terror. I would have sent this report card to Imran Khan, but he's banned this channel in Pakistan. We're doing our best.